Hello again, race fans, and welcome to the Prime Meridian Racing League, race number 4 of 10. It's season 2. We're going to be doing 34 laps around an absolutely incredible circuit here at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. And it's one that you're familiar with if you're a Formula One race fan, if you're a World Endurance Championship. I mean, the list goes on and on with the number of series that have visited here over the years. But IndyCar has never visited here except with the likes of Virtual Racing, and that's what we've got today with the Prime Meridian Racing League. Hello again. My name is Trevor Greenfield, and I will be here in the booth at VirtualRacing.Network doing this live coverage as always, and I'm joined by none other than Julian Altena. So, hey, Julian, great to have you with us today. Looking forward to a fantastic race around what is, an absolute fan and driver favorite circuit here at Spa-Francorchamps.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here once again. Happy to be in the booth this time as well, instead of the grandstands like a few months ago. But yeah, looking forward to this race here. It should be an absolutely fantastic race. We've had this one in another league as well not too long ago, and it was an absolute banger of a race. Twice actually in the Euro main series of VOR. So looking forward to this one. The straights are going to be providing us with some great drafting down straights, so that should allow the cars to stay close to each other. And yeah, gonna be a great race. We have qualifying here, so yeah, gonna be interesting to see how it goes.
Well,
I'm actually excited for it. So
I know you're excited because you didn't get to see much racing action from Formula One when you were there at the circuit, huddling close to friends and loved ones to get your body core temperature up. Fortunately, we're watching from the booth today. But as you mentioned, before they race, they must qualify. So down on track, we've got pretty much the whole field out there putting in their very first laps. And as you can see on your screen, Andreas Eich from Team Talent out there getting in his first lap. Go down through the field of who we've got out there today. It's Hugo Olsen. Team Power Slide Motorsports has been a stellar addition to the Prime Meridian Racing League field here. Just up the track. You see how, Jillian, it's really busy out there for qualifying. Definitely, there's some advantages to this group qualifying. You know, you can definitely get a big draft down that those long straightaways.
yeah, exactly. And you have a lot of straights down this track as well. For example, the start-finish straight you have on the run down to Aruj and up to Radion, all the way up to Le Cop, you have a long straight. So having the draft there is going to be key. You can even gain up to 6 to 7 tenths of a second, which is obviously huge. And of course, on the run down from Staffalo really up to the bus stop chicane, you can also gain quite a bit of time. So yes, drafting will be key, like you mentioned. And yeah, it's just really funny actually to see as well all the cars in a single line driving their qualifying laps. You don't really see that too often because you have all the dirty air, but the draft really outweighs that dirty air factor here on this track.
It does indeed, and but you can hang in that draft. Now, the races that I personally have done here in an IndyCar were in the Open Series, and it was not obviously when you have the chance to go with less downforce than your competitors, you might be able to gain an advantage down that straightaway and have some more speed and top end, be able to make some passes. But here in the Prime Meridian Racing League, of course, all of these races are run with fixed setups, so all of the drivers have exactly the same setups. Nevertheless, timing that draft down those straightaways is going to be key to getting some of that extra speed and being able to get in a faster lap time. As we see Daniel Dinsdale for SMS Racing picking up right where he left off, and so far our pole sitter at 1:54.49 thus far. And so far, that's just after one lap, so nobody really getting in a super flyer yet. We'll check in here with a couple of different favorites. We've got Will Lyon out on track at the moment, your points leader and defending champion of season 1 from the Prime Meridian Racing League. And we'll wait to see whether he can get in a fast lap and be able to cement himself on top of this leaderboard for today's race. Number of other well, there's actually a couple of new names in the field. We've got Florian Fernandez from France, racing with Hyperion Esports, so making his debut with us today. And last week's winner of the fan favorite driver of the day, Anna Jorfi, back out there again today. Will she be a fan favorite today? Will she have a run like she had last week at Red Bull Ring? That is a good question. Also, we get a chance to see Thomas Klessens back out there, and Klessens letting us know that he's from Belgium, and so this is his home race. I asked if he's ever been to the track before for the Grand Prix. He says he was planning to go this year, but he missed out on it. And judging from your photos over on Twitter, Julian, it sounds like this was the year, if you were going to miss one, you might want to miss this year. But you still had a good time out there partying down with all those Formula One people, I imagine.
Yeah, it was fun actually as well. We had some good chats with other people as well, so that was fun. I even met up there with a friend as well, so that was great to see her again there, which was actually really funny as well. I didn't know she was there, so it was good to see her and just hang out with a lot of all the F1 fans, of course, around the place. And yeah, it was my first race in a long time as well. Obviously, the pandemic was in the way. We were supposed to go to Belgium in 2020. Might have been a little bit of a better day to go without all the weather there in that year. But yeah, obviously the pandemic didn't allow that. But the last time I went before that, that was in Spain 2018. So I think for a lot of people that day, it was their first Grand Prix back. So it was just a big shame to see it all rained out. And really, in my opinion, it should have been postponed like in the IndyCar series to the next day. But they didn't managed to do so, unfortunately. So yeah, thankfully we have the iRacing scan here to watch in the Prime Meridian Racing League.
Right. And what a great scan it is, and races very well. Track limits are always going to be an issue, but we'll see them figure it out today, whether they keep all of their 4 tires where they should be or they get penalized. Always something to note. We also see another new driver on the screen, Manuel Gomez Esteban, for Team Mazinger, and he's racing with Super Mango sponsorship. That's a supermarket chain in Spain, and the reason why I know that is because we often see Manuel Gomez Esteban over on our Sunday broadcast for the US IndyCar League. So great chance to see him spread out and start trying on some other leagues that are out there. Of course, anybody who does want to get involved with the Prime Meridian Racing League still can. Just reach out to Jessica Sabin over on iRacing, and she is your admin, and we'll be able to get you set up either this season or next season and figure out a time for you to get out there on the track with the rest of the group. Back at it, though, it is SMS Racing's Daniel Dinsdale that we're watching on track, and as you can see going flying by there, one of his teammates from SMS Racing. I'll have to check and see who that was, but Dinsdale right now on the pole. We look at Mark Johnston for drivedoctors.co.uk, who's now slid back to 3rd. He was 2nd just a moment ago, but now back in 3rd, and he's having a great run. Matthew Levine was who went flying by just a moment ago, past his teammate of Daniel Dinsdale. He's now up into 2nd So Dinsdale and Levine for SMS Racing looking like 1 and 2 thus far. Hey, see, we got a few viewers over in our YouTube chat room. Great to have you along with us. Feel free to give us a shout out, but also you'll notice that we now have the ability for you to vote in a poll. And thus far, the question is, who do you think will win today's PMRL race? And we'll close that at the end of qualifying, so make sure to get your vote in. Right now, it's Oscar Fredrickson tied with Hugo Olsen for first place. Third place would be someone else, and then finally fourth is Will Lyon. That's some pretty interesting results. All of our viewers picking over there in that poll, but that's got to make you feel good to see Velocity Online Racing driver there. The fans think that he might end up winning this race. What do you think of that, Julian?
I mean, I think the fans know that we're the best guys out there. I'm just kidding. It's actually really interesting that he is voted the most likely driver to win the race, because I don't see him in the session yet. So that's actually a little bit strange. And actually just reached out to him and I asked him if he was racing, and then he just confirmed to me that he is not racing because he needs sleep. And he has a big presentation tomorrow. So unfortunately, we will not be seeing my teammate Oscar Fredrickson in chat. Had a good run last week until some unfortunate incidents, but yeah, he will not be able to fight for the podium he could or maybe should have gotten last week. But of course, I am probably you. I should say we hope that we see him back at the next race.
Certainly, the more top talent that wants to run with the Prime Meridian Racing League, of course, it's welcome, and Oscar Fredrickson, one of that top group of IndyCar drivers on the iRacing service, and certainly anybody who wants to come out here and give what has emerged as a true juggernaut team of this league, the SMS Racing team here with defending champ Will Lyon and Matthew Levine and Daniel Dinsdale. It seems to be growing race by race, but anybody who's got some talent can come out here and challenge these guys. It is more than welcome, as well as, you know, this is someone who's had a lot of success recently, Julian. Hugo Olsen sliding into the series, doing well, finishing at the front, qualifying at the front. Right now, he's only in 7th place, but we're looking at those sector times. He's getting in some good sectors for himself. So we'll see whether or not he can lower his best qualifying time of 1:55.18 thus far. But he's a good half a second off of Dan Disdale's qualifying time so far. Only 8 minutes remaining in this qualifying session.
Yeah, and going back to Hugo Olsen for a second there, he currently sits 3rd in the championship standings, about 38 points behind the leader, Will Lyon, who is in front of his teammate Matthew Levine there in the 2nd position. So Hugo was involved in some incidents last week, and I think he's going to be hoping for a bit of a cleaner race tonight and hopefully make up some of the points deficit he has built up last week. But I think Will be a very strong opponent to go against. Of course, he won the first 2 races, is that correct? So he will be very difficult to beat.
We'll take a look at those points here in just a minute. Right now, those I mean, it's really anybody's race still. Anybody can change their championship hopes. We've got 7 races really to go here, and so it's anybody's championship, it's anybody's race. And right now, Hugo, if you're a Hugo Olsen fan, or Swedish racing fan, whatever brings you to cheer on Hugo Olsen, right now your concern is you want to see him possibly start towards the front, because even though there is this huge draft, being able to control the front end of this race, especially being able to keep that SMS racing team from just owning that front of the grid, you've got to do it. Anything you can to break that up, because once they get formed up there, it's going to be really tough to break into that group. What with Matthew Levine being the ultimate tail gunner for Will Lyon in subsequent races. But look how close Will Lyon's time was there to Daniel Dinsdale, right within 1/100th of a second. So very close times between the 3 SMS racing drivers there, 1, 2, and 3 at the moment. Andreas Eick now into 4th. as we watch Hugo Olsen continue to qualify and try and improve that time. Doesn't look like he's getting in a faster time this time, coming up on a little bit of lap traffic as well. So we move forward, take a look here at Andreas Eich's qualifying effort. He is now green in this sector, so possibly this is a personal best. We'll see. And across the start-finish stripe. Not able to improve, though he did go faster that lap. A 1:54.82 for Ike. So it is SMS Racing 1, 2, 3 with Ike in 4th for Team Talent, and then Mark Johnston with drivedoctors.co.uk in 5th spot. But look who's found some pace already this week. This is a driver, I mean, I'm trying not to be too critical of him, but we were just, you know, Julian, I know you weren't with us last season, but this guy, David Soranzo, was frequently up at the front, qualifying well, racing well last season, and we just hadn't seen that speed out of him, but he seems like he's getting it together here at Spa. Could be the familiarity of such a classic track. So we'll have to wait and see whether Soranzo can hang on to that 6th position, but that would be one of his better qualifying efforts. And we take a look over here, Daniel Dinsdale, who has just popped in that purple Sector 5, and as a result gone even faster than before. Who is this Daniel Dinsdale, and is he really, in fact, slightly faster than Will Lyon? That is, well, it's on the track, it's in the board, it's on the board, and depends on whether he did it with draft, but that's a very good lap, and to be faster than Lyon at the moment is a pretty strong accomplishment.
Yes, definitely, and I think during the interviews, Will Lyon has always been very complimentary of his teammate Daniel Dinsdale, so I guess they knew that what he was capable of, but we're just really finding out right now.
Indeed. Well, we're always the last ones to know, just like me putting Oscar Fredrickson in that poll. I suppose I shouldn't have done that. I guess there's a way I could have known, but nevertheless, we're always the last to know here what people's plans are and whether somebody's going to show up and smoke the competition. But that's why we all watch to see what's going to happen, because you know, you look a lot of times, and I say that, guess who just took pole position? It's true. It's good old Will Lyon for SMS Racing, pipping his teammate there by over 1/10 of a second now. So we take a look at Will exiting the pits, possibly going to take another attempt at going even faster to protect that pole position. But we look here also at Soranzo, and also another driver we didn't get to spend a lot of time with this. You see Erica Lindstrom, they're really having to battle for some position on the track with Johnston just behind. I mean, this is actually a very crowded racetrack right now, Julian, and I'm sure that is costing quite a lot of these drivers good laps.
Yeah, really what I think that is down to, because we have 17 cars in the field at the moment. It's counting as 20 and SDK, but we excluding all the admins and stewards at 17. So what I think is the problem here right now is not necessarily the car count, but it's actually the positioning of all the drivers. Like we've been explaining a few times already, and we'll be explaining all night long, is the drivers will be trying to get a draft down the straights because it is worth so much lap time. So they all want to position themselves, let's say, a second and a half away from the car in front. And of course, by the end of the lap, they will be closing in that gap. So starting their next laps, they will be in front of some pretty dirty air. So yeah, that's probably the main reason why we see cars struggling to get a good lap in, because traffic is really becoming an issue right now.
Well, just 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining at this point. If anybody wants to take a chance on breaking up that SMS Racing monopoly at the front of this grid, they're going to have to get it together right now. Sam Blackwood saddled back in 13th at the moment. You know, Wyvern Racing has been racing extremely well And looking at Sam back there and Connor in 11th, they're going to have a lot of work to come forward and be able to take some positions here today. New driver in the field, Axel Gumel. Great to have you joining us from France. Unfortunately, not able to break into the top 10. And Jesper Orman, someone we talk about all the time on the ovals. He's trying to extend into the road courses and really, he's made some investments in equipment and really tried to jump up his game. Jesper right now sitting outside of the top 10 in 14th. So 19 seconds to go. Who possibly is on another lap that could do it? It's not going to be Levine. Here's Dinsdale. Dinsdale on a very good lap now. Will he be able to? As he takes the final chicane, lets the car ride out over the exit curb. Does Dinsdale take the pole? No, he does go faster with a 54.48, but not enough to get Will Lyon. And we'll look and see who else. Danny Brennan on a good lap for himself. And let's see if we can get a camera on that. Oh, Danny appears to be blinking a little bit. But there's the good old green and orange and white machine of Danny Brennan. Having trouble keeping him on screen, but putting in some good laps. And so far for Danny, though, only 16th fastest. And I don't think we've gotten a time from Manuel Gomez Esteban. So that is it. Qualifying time has been fully allotted. Now these drivers just getting in the final part of their laps. And possibly Matthew Levine might be able to do something here at the end of this one. So we'll stay on board. Another fast sector there in Sector 3. So we'll stay on this one and see if Levine can improve his time. And unfortunately, we lost it for a second, but we'll see if we can get it back. There we go. And it's Levine coming into the last chicane. You see the driver in front straight lining. You can do that. It's much slower. Wow, a lot of oversteer coming off of the corner. Does Levine get it at the end? No. No. Does not quite eclipse his fastest time. Was only off by about 1/10 of a second. And that is going to do it, as everyone has now finished. So we'll be able to show you the final results here in just one moment. Officially, iRacing always has to finish their session before we can give you the final results. But you saw it, and it was SMS Racing, Julian, who stole the whole front of this thing. I think it's already lining up for an SMS day, but you never know how Spa-Francorchamps might treat these competitors. Certainly, just because somebody qualifies at the front, you've got to make it through turn one. Now, there's been some interesting races in the past for those of us who are Formula One fans of this circuit. You don't need to go much further back to find Romain Grosjean's entree into Formula One for Lotus, and well, he did not have such a great race there into turn one after all, wiping out much of the field. So hopefully we don't get anything quite like that today, and we can take a look now at the final results. And there you go. It's Will Lyon, Daniel Dinsdale, Matthew Levine for SMS Racing. 1, 2, 3. And again, this is a fixed setup series, so pretty much everybody on their own to figure out how to make the most out of these cars. But SMS Racing taking 1, 2, 3. Team Talents on Andreas Eick is in 4th place. Mark Johnston, David Soranzo, Hugo Olsen, Florian Fernandez, Erica Lindstrom, and Sam Blackwood, your top 10. Anna Jorfi in 11th. Connor Pearson, Axel Gumel, Jesper Orman, Danny Brennan, Thomas Klessens, and Manuel Gomez Esteban, your 17 cars that will be running today. So, some favorites, Julian, kind of trapped back in the field. Obviously, we would look for Wyvern Racing teammates to race really well at a classic road course like this. It's kind of surprising to see them starting from outside the top 10 and, from 10th and, and 12th. But then some other names, Jesper Orman, possibly could be moving forward. Thomas Klessens, hometown favorite for Team Spirit Box, saddled with a 16th place qualifying time. So a number of these drivers going to have to come forward. And the question is, will we see another superstar day from Anna Jorfi? She had such a great run going in Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, she did. And going to the favorites real quick first, I think the SMS Racing guys are the absolute favorites to win tonight. But going to Wyvern Racing now, they had a really good run last week as well. Unfortunately, some stuff didn't really go their way. With Blackwood, from memory, I'm sorry, Sam, I'm going to say it, spinning out of the pits, which was really unfortunate and really frustrating for him as well. We heard how disappointed he was in the interviews.
Sure.
So I'm hoping for sure for himself that he can get a good rebound from that race tonight. But Jorfi should be able to perform a little bit better as well. We've been talking about her improving steadily over the first few races already, so I'm expecting more or less the same from her tonight. And also a few other people in the back to come forward.
Well, it will be a lot of fun. We're going to get 34 laps with these drivers to sort it all out. Right now, the drivers out there for their warm-up. And so let's go ahead and go over some of our points that we've got here. We'll take a look first at your driver standings after 3 rounds. Big thanks to Vilda Wallen, Vopsy, iRacing Paints, Vopsy.com. And she will get you whatever skin you need, whatever livery you need for your car. She puts these graphics together each week. You can see it is Will Lyon atop the standings. No shocker there. Matthew Levine second and Hugo Olsen third. But, you know, from, I would say, third on back, anybody's race for today. I mean, you could come out of this one with a new person possibly in third, but certainly Daniel Dinsdale, although he's new to the series, is not secure in that 4th place, even though he's going to be starting from second. We've seen before how easy it is to lose those positions and have to fight through the day. So this championship long from over, and we'll look forward to seeing more from that today. And of course, now the team standings, with SMS Racing finishing as well as they have absolutely dominated the team standings. Right now, second place for Three Crowns Racing with IAR predominantly on their oval standings. But I would look for that Wyvern Racing, who's dropped down a spot. If they can somehow manage to get it together today and get up from beyond the top 10, they can possibly reclaim that second place, just depending on what kind of a day they can have. Of course, Powerslide Motorsports only represented by Hugo Olsen. We thought we might see another driver from them this season, but thus far not. Hugo Olsen qualified in, I believe, 7th place for today's race, and so he's going to have some work to come forward and fight for his team in the standings. So we'll get that off of your screen, and we'll start getting ready for today. Now, this warm-up session is great for these drivers. You'll see them go out there, try on maybe the red tires, try on the black tires, because the drivers do need to use both sets for the race. We'll take a look at the warm-up standings. Why not? We've got the room up on the screen. And I believe we're doing a full lap of pace here, Julian. So we have like a long time to talk about the warm-up results. So the warm-up results, just several driver setting times. It's just a 5-minute session, but again, they would be using this to check the different tire compounds out on their setup, make sure that it feels right, make sure they're used to how cold tires is going to feel during the race. And are we getting a full pace lap? I don't know. We're only getting a short pace lap. That was Jessica Saban telling me, oh, she was telling the whole field to watch out for that. But I guess we're getting the short pace lap. So again, let's now that we're getting everybody out there, why don't we go ahead and go through this field. So starting on pole position, we do have Will Lyon for SMS Racing. And starting second will be Daniel Dinsdale, as we mentioned, for SMS Racing. Third will be Matthew Levine. And fourth for today will be Andreas Eick. Mark Johnston starting alongside, and David Soranzo. So far, the field making it through their pace lap. And we are just about to go green here as Dan Dinsdale and Will Lyon will bring us down to turn 1 for the green flag. We did see, I believe, Anna Jorfi going wide back there on exit. We're looking back towards turn 1. Everybody through safely. Number of drivers stacked up side by side, but so far, everybody clean through turn 1. And the drivers head through Eau Rouge for the first time. It is Will Lyon in front with Dan Dinsdale and Matthew Levine in third. Andreas Eick now under attack from Mark Johnston, who goes side by side. Who will lift first? That is the question, as the three SMS teammates battle for position in front. Now Johnston right on the backside of Andreas Eick. So we watch to see who is going to jockey for positions. Thus far, I'm seeing that we did have a brief note that Hugo Olsen perhaps having an off track a little bit further back. I did see a note that perhaps Florian Fernandez, Erica Lindstrom, and Manuel Gomez Esteban perhaps having a moment going off track as well. But at the front, it is Will Lyon who continues here on lap 1. No problems thus far. Daniel Dinsdale in second, and Matthew Levine, all SMS teammates running 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Andreas Eick holding on in fourth, but for how long? As he's under severe attack now from Mark Johnston, who looks to get around as Andreas Eick perhaps got a little wide coming into the corner. And they go side by side. Johnston on the inside, Andreas Eick on the outside. And they continue to remain side by side down the start-finish straight. Good racing thus far from these two. And they have not really fallen too far back yet from the front three. Hey, we were talking about some teammates coming forward potential.
Johnson just passed Eick in Eau Rouge. You don't really see that often. Sorry to cut you off there, Trevor. It just sort of happened on my screen. Oh man, that was very ballsy indeed. You got through though, so brilliant move.
Absolutely. And we saw Andreas perhaps under attack from Soranzo. We'll look back at the replay now. Here's Johnston in Eau Rouge making the move around Eick. Clean, just went over the curbs a bit, stayed wide, really under control. Excellent move from Mark Johnston.
Yeah, it was great to watch. Just quickly going back to before the start of the race, I somehow knew something was going to happen before the green flag flew, and I saw Danny Brennan blink out for a second there, and Manuel Gomez Esteban was right behind him, and he tried to speed up to catch the pack again, because Danny was blinked out, but then he blinked back on the screen again, and they hit each other, so that was really unfortunate. That's what happened before the start of the race. And as far as I know, those were the only two cars involved in that specific incident. I'm not sure about the others, but yeah, very unfortunate indeed.
Appreciate you looking back on that. Having 4 eyes out there looking is certainly better than 2. At the moment when that pass happened, I was starting to look through the field, and the reason is because if you look back in 8th and 9th, there are the 2 Wyvern Racing teammates. I saw the orange and blue popping up just behind Hugo Olsen. So Connor Pearson now up 4 positions, and Sam Blackwood up a position himself. The 2 Wyvern Racing teammates coming forward in a hurry. But we look back up forward, and so far the 3 SMS teammates have not really been able to drive away from Mark Johnston or Andreas Eick. This is something we thought we might see them be able to work together, perhaps, SMS at the front of this one, and be able to walk away, but not so, says Mark Johnston, who's keeping them honest today. And currently, let's give you a push-to-pass countdown here. We've got 10 push-to-pass remaining from Will Lyon, 8 from Dinsdale, 10 from Levine, and 9 from Johnston at the moment. So nobody really burning through them that quickly. Axel Gomil has used 8, and he is on the black tires, so that may be just trying to, and he's using another one, so almost about to run out of push to pass there for Axel back in back in 10th place. So we continue to watch this battle. I'm getting a note here, Florian Fernandez. What has happened to Florian? Going very slow through the chicane there, and then coming into the pits. It told us that he had crashed, but looks like just getting very slow into the corner. And back to the live picture. It is Mark Johnston still holding down that 4th spot. And we look a little bit further back. It is still Connor Pearson chasing down Hugo Olsen for that 7th position. Olsen started in 7th. Continues to run in 7th. Soranzo started 6th, continues to run in 6th. But it is Connor Pearson who is the driver on the move. Thus far, the hard charger of the pack, up 4 positions. And he seems lightning focused. I think he wants that tattoo at the end of this season for the team championship, but he's got a long ways to go to get it. So on board with Pearson, can show you the lap times here as you can hear him using the curbing as he flies through Eau Rouge and down this straightaway. How fast? Well, upwards of 300 kilometers per hour. These Indy cars are so fast. Now I was looking back, oh, and you know what, actually we have another note. Let's get to this. This is Jesper Orman, perhaps having an issue in turn 1, maybe going a little wide. Our software registering that he had an off-track moment there, so no big deal. There was also a moment ago with Anna Jorfi passing Thomas Klessens there on the track. You can see that as well. So Jorfi into 13th, but she's lost 2 positions today. So not quite having that Road America day yet, but we'll see what shakes out at the front of this one.
Yeah, the reason why Jorfi got by Klessens was Klessens got really loose out of Lecombe there, so that allowed Anna to drive through pretty easily there without too much effort really being made there, because she didn't have to. She just drove by him and that was it. So up, down 2 positions from where she started, but she is back up 1 again.
Well, we are 4 laps into this. Only 30 laps to go. It's going to kind of be a long one here. Did we just see? Yes, indeed. It's Mark Johnston just behind, racing again side by side with Andreas Eick. Eick now ducks back behind, so trying to make yet another attempt to reclaim that spot from Johnston, as possibly the tire's starting to wear off. Now, I did hear from champion Will Lyon that this setup may be starting to go off on those front tires, and you got to watch out. It doesn't get a lot of laps before the front tires start going off. So maybe that's just the way that Will drives it. Maybe it's a consensus from his whole team coming back to him. Maybe there's something drivers can do to fix that problem for themselves. We wait to find out how this one's going to shake out because, again, not open setups, fixed setups supplied by the series, many times based off of the iRacing baseline setup or the setup for that particular track that's provided by iRacing. But here today, all these drivers, exactly the same setup. They just have those anti-roll bar and sometimes weight jacker on oval adjustments. But here, anti-roll bar, brake bias. I know I'm missing something. What else am I missing? Fuel mapping. There's another one you can change in the cockpit as well. But just a few adjustments that you can make. Otherwise, pretty much have to do it all with your right foot. Now, we did have this just a moment ago. Thomas Klesson spinning around out of turn 1. We do appreciate that VirtualRacing.Network signage on the car. Looks really good from the side, but I don't think that's what Thomas had in mind. So he continues with his day. The Belgian up 2 spots in 14th, despite that slide.
Oh!
And we
Levine just got passed by Johnston there, and he's got wing damage as well.
We have just joined in time to see that, and now Levine and Ike going side by side through the corner. Levine dropping back at the moment. This is interesting. He's dropped back out of third. He seemed to run Andreas Ike to the wall. We'll watch to see if Ike wants to jump on the button or if he's going to save some of those push to passes. Nobody thus far really choosing to use it. It's Johnston leading this train, and now Levine tries the outside. Ike just behind. They go side by side. It's Levine holding on to the position. I can't believe everybody got through there cleanly, but yeah, they did.
Here. They're racing really aggressively out there. I'm not sure if I would be comfortable racing that aggressively at this point in the race, but they are.
And Soranzo and Ike now side by side. You can see that's also brought Connor Pearson for Wyvern Racing into the picture. So now we're getting some fantastic battling here for these following positions. Soranzo getting by, and now it's 3 wide down the straightaway with Olsen to the inside and Ike on the outside. Still side by side. This is fantastic battling that we're seeing here, Julian.
Yes, indeed. These guys are like animals right now. I don't know what's happened to them, but they're racing so hard early on. It's great to watch indeed, but it's a little bit interesting to say the least, because they have to protect their tires as well. The fuel window is about 11 laps, so you need to save fuel and tires as well. Remember, there's a 34-lap race distance, so at some point you will have to save fuel or come into the pits early. But all this battling isn't helping either of that, the tire or fuel saving, as we once again have battles into the bus stop chicane. But Soranzo holds on to his position here. Ooh. Ike and Olsen, side by side.
We're on board with Hugo Olsen as he cruises by. Does he hold the position in the corner? No, he still goes side by side. And he does manage to get that position away from Andreas Ike. Now these two have been battling Andreas Ike and Hugo Olsen, battling in so many different series, so many different races. They will know each other's racing styles inside and out. But we've got side by side now with Andreas Ike and Connor Pearson down the back straight. And Pearson gets by Ike for that 7th position, moving Ike now 4 positions back. Team Talent driver, he's fighting hard, he's racing hard, but the others are just charging forward. So let's take a look at where everyone's at. We've got Will Lyon, your leader, out in front by about a second over his SMS Racing teammate, Daniel Dinsdale. Mark Johnston now in 3rd place and coming forward, but he is 5 seconds adrift now of Daniel Dinsdale. So these drivers fighting with each other, and that causing them to lose a little bit of time. Now we do have a note. Is it Anna Jorfi? It's saying slowing down or having a crash. Oh, there was damage to that car, and she just straight lines it right into the barrier. That was, if we can back that one up for just a moment, we'll find out where that damage came from. and it looks like perhaps she was already damaged by that point, so we may not be able to get that full picture for you, but Jorfi back in 13th. So we look back at the front, and it's Johnston in 3rd and Levine in 4th, as we see side by side Soranzo and Pearson. So Soranzo now battling side by side and has moved back ahead of Andreas Ike. Ike back in that 8th spot is just got to be livid, just getting passed, and there's seemingly nothing he can really do about it. Soranzo on the button, Connor Pearson on the button as they head down the straight.
So Connor Pearson just hit 314 kilometers per hour down the straight in the draft. That is 195.111 miles per hour, which is lightning fast around this place in these cars. Remember, pretty high downforce, but not as much horsepower as, for example, Formula 1 cars. So it's a little bit difficult to pull some speed, but these cars are for sure doing that right now.
Well, they're it's interesting because I believe that's just about what Formula 1 runs here, perhaps right at about 200 miles per hour in the draft, but very similar. Their overall lap times closer to the Formula 2 or GP2 lap times, just under those times, because they don't have anywhere near as much downforce and winglets and other doodads that cost $100 million a car that Formula 1 does. But this racing series not afraid to go fast, and look who's coming forward. It's Hugo Olsen for Powerslide Motorsports getting around. Matthew Levine, the Swedish driver, moving forward into that 4th position. So he pulled a cork out of something, and right now he's finding some better tire wear, possibly those adjustments, or maybe Hugo deciding to take it a little easy on the start of this stint, starting to play into the veterans' hands.
Oof. Sorry, I just was watching Axel Guzmel there. He got really close to Andreas Ike in the bus stop, and I actually got a little bit tail happy on the exit of the bus stop as well. So he was very good, and he was on the primary tire, just like he was in the Q4, who you just talked about. He's moving up the field nicely as well. And at this point in the run, you are starting to see the red tires really fall off and the black tires come forward to really overtake them in terms of lap time capabilities, as we are going into the Lecombe section once again.
And Hugo Olsen there has just gotten by. Sorry to cut you off, Julian, but Hugo has now passed Mark Johnston for that 3rd position. Hugo Olsen coming forward in a hurry. He's still got 6.5 seconds to get up to Dan Dinsdale, but he is on a charge.
Yeah, he's coming for sure.
Well, let's get those lap times up there so you can follow along on your screen as Hugo attempts to chase down those 2 SMS Racing teammates in front. And I did jump back to Axel, but by the time I got to him, he had already straightened it all out. A lot of these drivers just trying to hang on to these cars as the tires go away. Got to deal with that oversteer. Car wants to slip away from you. And that's as much a part of racing these cars as going fast, just managing the equipment under you over these long stints.
Yeah, we're coming up towards the end of those stints now, though, so a few other people are yet to run the primary, so the 8-second gap from the top 2 to Hugo Olsen in P3, for example, will shrink again as the pit strategy plays out, as Hugo just got some oversteer there. So it will be interesting to see when these guys are going to pit, because like I said a few moments ago, the race distance is 34 laps and the fuel window is at most 11 laps. You can really stretch it to 12 if you save a lot, but that's going to be really difficult. So I'm curious to see who's going to even try that. I think it will gain you some positions though at the end of the day, but it will just be really difficult mentally to get to that number.
It will be tough to get there. Well, we'll see. Perhaps that is exactly what Hugo was doing. Maybe saving some fuel. Some of these drivers may be playing that fuel card very, very early. Now, you can also see Hugo on those black tires. I should have mentioned that. Of course, we don't have a graphic that represents that. We hope to at some point in the near future. But Hugo, the only one in the top 7 positions on those black tires. And this would be the point of the stint at the very end where they would start to really pay off with their extra durability and their extra temperature durability as well. Not just their tire wear, but their temperature durability, so that if these drivers are out there working them hard, which it's 23 degrees on the track, it's only 20 degrees ambient, 23 on the track, so it's not really a warm day. If it were warmer, you'd expect those black tires to take over more and earlier in the stint, but still, I think we're finally seeing with this new tire model from iRacing, the black tires finally starting to show their viability as a race strategy at the very end of the stint. Hugo now walking away from Mark Johnston, 1.28 seconds between him and Johnson. Now we've got teammates for SMS into the pits. Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale now in the pit lane, and we will see as they come down, who will Hugo Olsen respond, or will he just bring it down into turn 1? And he of course continues. So that answers your first question. Hugo able to go a lap further than the SMS Racing teammates. And he's also, Hugo, bringing along Mark Johnston, David Soranzo, Axel Gumel, and Erica Lindstrom, your current top 5 before pit stops.
Yeah, I think the top 7 that stayed out are committed to a 2-stopper, and everybody that just top 8 are committed to a 2-stopper, and everybody that just pitted is committed to the 3-stopper, which is going flat out, and the 2-stopper being maximum fuel safe.
Well, good luck to them. It's always fun. I mean, isn't that part of the fun, Julian? When you decide, I'm going 2 stops, I'm going 3 stops, it's always a tricky strategy decision to make. Yeah,
it's fun when it plays out in your hands, but if it doesn't, it's not really fun because you have to save fuel or race, and it doesn't always pay off.
Oh, it's so cool. You gotta love it when it's not just about the fuel saving, of course, as we watch these drivers continue here on lap 11 of this 34-lap race. It's so fun, but you have to be exact. You can't, if you fuel save, if you gain because of that, if you're gaining overall and not making that extra pit stop, you have to really minimize any mistakes or fall-offs that you might make, because you simply you won't have the speed to pull it out. It's not like you can just say, okay, well, I'll just go really hard on these tires now, or I'll just use up all my push to pass now. You can't do that if you're fuel saving or tire saving. So as we see Mark Johnston now pull it into the pits, guess who's continuing? It's Hugo Olsen. So he's getting all that fuel saving done up front. He may be able to go on these last 2 stints just flat out, not have to save any fuel at all.
Yeah, I'm telling you, he is 100,000% on that fuel saving strategy. And it's going to be tricky for him to make it around this lap, though. I know for some people it can be quite close when they get into the pits. They might run out just as they enter or come into their pit box. So he's got to make sure that he maximizes that and doesn't make a mistake there, like you just pointed out as well, because that will be absolutely destroying his strategy if he messes that up.
And that's the key thing, is once you're locked in, especially to the fuel save strat, you can adjust if a caution were to come out, say on an oval, and then get on the same strategy as everyone else. But the reality is you have less options. You have far more options of how hard you want to push and how much fuel you want to burn if you're on the other more aggressive strategy. But this is something that wins races. This gets you, I mean, it does it in real life IndyCars. We see Hugo Olsen really sliding that back end around. And this is, it's something you have to learn as an IndyCar driver, as we see Jesper Orman also on that same strategy. So the top 4 right now exactly on the same strat, not having pitted. Let's see if we can get that graphic up there for you to see, but those drivers have not pitted, and rolling those dice that they can get the lap times over the length of the race that will put them ahead of the other drivers on the far more aggressive strategy. Here comes Hugo Olsen into the pits.
watch him as he enters the pit box. Let's just go on board with it if he can, because I want
Sure.
to see if he can slow it down in time. It's going to be so close with the fuel, I think. Oh yes, he is using the gears to save as much fuel as he can to get to the box.
We'll see if he runs out getting to the box. So you see Gomez Esteban also pitting there. Soranzo Lindstrom also following. Jesper Orman staying out there. No, he made it perfectly to his box. Got stopped on the marks.
Just about. Was a bit sideways, but it works.
But it worked. He didn't have to back up or, like, you know, change and go to the right or go to the left. Like, good enough is good enough in iRacing. They'll do it. But no, that will affect your pit stop time. If you are slightly off center, that does make your actual pit stop longer. But where does this put him in relationship to everyone else? Well, he is 6.5 seconds back from Dan Dinsdale at this moment, and another 2.2 seconds back from Will Lyon.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to save some fuel from here, but I'm actually more interested in the fact he went to the black primary tires again. I would think the red tires over a full stint would be the better tire to go on to, but he didn't. So clearly he feels more comfortable on those primary blacks than on the reds. So this will allow him to go harder for longer, like we've been explaining in the first stint as well. So that's something to keep an eye on. But going back to the fuel strategy here, Hugo is now in clean air. It will be difficult for him to save fuel here. You could run it in map 5 and save some, but ideally you want to have the draft of the car in front of you to save some more of that, as Hugo goes off the track a little bit there. It's all within the limits though, so nothing really going wrong for him so far.
Definitely not too bad, but again, he'll be wanting to reel in that gap. And now we look at Jesper Orman, who continues for Three Crowns Racing. Will he come in this lap? I don't think he can do a one-stopper. He has to come in at some point. There he is, into the pits. So
how did he go 13 laps?
You got me. I guess running in fuel map 5. We'll have to ask him if he's in the podium interview afterwards. We'd love to find out for him. But Will Lyon will take over the lead once again. See, he circulates here. The Scot for SMS Racing, the lead man for the team, and the champion from last season. Assuming the lead here of, again, Spa is, if not my favorite circuit, it's one of my favorite circuits. Like right at the top, 3, 5, whatever, it's right there. And I've done so many laps here in Sims. I've watched so many races here, just like all of these drivers, just like yourself, Julian. You get the chance to do just endless laps in F1 Sims and obviously all the other Sims out there that have this track, and basically can drive it blindfolded at some point. But when you're somebody like Will Lyon, who's done a lot of sim racing, or Dan Dinsdale, a lot of these drivers, I mean, even over in Project Cars, they've got Spa-Francorchamps. R-Factor 2 has Spa-Francorchamps. Every single sim has it. It's got to mean something to win a broadcasted, high-profile league race like the Prime Meridian Racing League's first race here at Spa-Francorchamps. I mean, that's in a lot of ways, this is just another box that somebody who wins here is going to get a chance to check off of their list of things to do. But to win in a big way like this is really, it is like getting your chance to really go out there and race in a real IndyCar series or F1 or something like that, as far as these sim racing drivers are concerned. And there's a lot of pride involved. You want to win at Spa. It's one of those classic tracks. You've seen all your favorites from Michael Schumacher and, you know, Senna and many others winning here over the years. And you want your chance to duplicate, or of course, you know, Hamilton. Depends on what age you are and who your hero is. Do you remember, were you watching at the time when Grosjean had his incident, Julian?
In 2009, I wasn't watching yet. Oh, sorry. Somebody just had an incident. That was just in front of Orman.
We see that. Sorry to break that up. You're right. It is Connor Pearson and Mark Johnston slow just in front. What has happened to these drivers? Things were settling in so well. Andreas Ike coming through that mess. David Soranzo, one of your front runners, is out. Thomas Klessens is out of the race as well. Not sure if he got involved in that incident. We do have Connor Pearson continuing Anna Jorfi is out as well. Not sure. Let's go ahead and see if we can take a look at where possibly this began. I can see a note that says Soranzo going off track here, so just back it up on the screen and see if we can find exactly where this one began. They were all racing so close together. This is Soranzo behind, is that Jesper Orman? And there you can see Soranzo and Orman making contact, but that also appears to be Erica Lindstrom, who doesn't quite get it slowed down in time. Indeed. So let's just see if we can figure out this one. We'll go slow-mo, and Lindstrom comes in hot. I think just does not expect Soranzo to be slowing up, but that is because, as you see the VirtualRacing.Network logo on that wing end plate go by, that appears as though there's another incident that's happened just in front with Connor Pearson. So let's back that up and see if we can figure out where that one began. Meanwhile, Julian, if you'll keep an eye on the track and figure out what else is happening. It looks like Johnston and Pearson had a moment. So we're going to go and take a look at this. So here's Pearson coming into that final chicane. Was racing up, obviously, much further up in the order. And then Johnston comes in very, very late and just clips that in front of, just clips Pearson, excuse me. And now Ike getting caught in the middle of that, taking off a wing. So quite a big schmozzle, just as we were talking about it, that leaving all of these drivers to stack up behind. Just as we were talking about the Grosjean incident, we have a little bit of our own incident, and that is the way it unfolded. So let's go back to the live picture and figure out what we've missed in the meantime. It is Will Lyon still in front with teammate Daniel Dinsdale just behind by 2.5 seconds. And then it's Hugo Olsen, 5.3 seconds back from Dinsdale. Now the running order is Levine in fourth, with Axel Gumel just behind. So in debut here for the NVW eSport team, Axel Gumel having a great run and currently up in fifth. Sam Blackwood in sixth. So the Wyvern team split in half with that incident, but Blackwood up into sixth, gaining 4 spots on the day. Gumel, by the way, up 8 spots today. Jesper Orman now up into 7th, gaining 7 spots. So, of course, he was part of that same strategy that Hugo Olsen is on. And Erica Lindstrom in 8th. I think possibly there may be a penalty coming Lindstrom's way. Here's Connor Pearson approaching Lindstrom from behind, getting very loose on exit of that corner and coming into the chicane here. Looking to get that position back, but I think, again, we'll have to see what Jessica Sabin and the PMRL stewards like Joshua have to say. So we'll end our poll, and it was, in fact, Will Lyon who came through as everyone's prediction with 18 laps to go. That's a pretty good guess. But someone else on there, and Oscar Fredrickson still getting more of a vote, 17% than Hugo Olsen. Nevertheless, it is Lyon who is leading the race today, with Olsen in third and Dinsdale SMS teammate to Lyon and Levine splitting those two up. So Olsen continuing to hold about that same 5.5 second gap. In the meantime, just behind, it is Levine and Gumel, with Blackwood now 2.6 seconds ahead of Jesper Orman for Three Crowns Racing. And there you see just behind also Manuel Gomez Esteban, who's fallen down 1 lap. He's the first car, I believe, a lap down now. Let's see, no, Danny Brennan actually being the first car lap down, but Gomez Esteban, second car lap down and in 13th place, but still running out there. I think that's the main thing when you're trying to improve your road course skills, as Gomez Esteban definitely is. This is a great way to do it. Just hang on to that car, and your pace will start to improve magically the more laps you get in and the more comfortable you feel in the seat. So there's Danny Brennan in 12th.
We talked about Manuel Gomez Esteban last week, by the way. Well, maybe I did. He's primarily an oval driver, and like you've been saying, he is getting his feet wet into road course racing right now. Not really going his way today. I did spot a little bit of a lack of rear wheels, but still, he is still running, which is the most important thing, as he just goes off the track a little bit there. It's all part of the learning curve. As long as he finishes this race, he will be very satisfied with his result, I would assume. But I quickly want to mention something more about the strategy. Axel Guzmel is the only car in the top 10 that is on the red alternate tires, so he should have a little bit more speed over a few laps before the tires start going off, which would be in about 4 laps, I would imagine. So I think he is right now feeling the effects of the tire wear, but he did have a significant pace advantage to allow him to get into the top 5 at this stage. So yeah, like you've been saying, he is doing a really good job on debut here in the series, up 8 positions. So let's see with the final stint what he can do. He is out of push to pass though, which will be something very critical for his end result here today, as the long straights aren't very easy to defend on without push to pass.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I was noticing that first stint that he was very quick to go through that. And of course, that gives you nothing at the end should you have somebody challenging, as you're talking about, or if you want to go and use them all up and maybe try to get that fast lap of the race out from, you know, that magic bonus point for fast lap. Takes that right out of your hands because you pretty much need push to pass in order to get that. Nevertheless, Gumel here continuing, and right now in 5th, up 8 spots, and trying to possibly get another one from Matthew Levine just ahead. So he's having a great race, and as you said, also those red tires are an early part of the stint speed advantage, but it may actually start to swing back that way once we get up around lap 9, lap 10 of this stint.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I was just about to crack a simple joke. Not bad for a B-class driver against all the A-class drivers on iRacing here. So doing a really good job. So yeah.
That's a very important point. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can end up a B. You could be an A and then bounce back down to a B if you have a couple of rough races. But in general, you know, it isn't really necessarily about whether you're an A or a B. A lot of it does come down to that I rating, which seems to be a pretty good predictor of how much experience somebody has in that particular discipline. So, for example, if you see somebody with 5,000, you know they've done a lot of road course racing. For example, Andreas Eich with over 5,000 I rating on road courses. Will Lyon with 4,400, Hugo Olsen with 4,700. And so, you know, that does put some drivers like, for example, Danny Brennan, 1,195. And that in no way says that's what Danny's pace is. It just says that Danny doesn't have the amount of experience on road courses and certainly hasn't spent enough time to really hone his craft and get it to the point where he's going out there and getting podiums and winning each week. But that's what this is all about. And as we talk about it, it's whether it's just keeping the car on the track the whole race and that's your challenge, or it's trying to get a top 10 or trying to get a top 5, or you feel like you can chase for the championship. Everybody has their own challenge here on iRacing. Here we see Sam Blackwood diving down the inside of Alex Gumel for that 5th position. So Blackwood on the charge, coming forward for 5th, and that is 5 positions on the day for the Wyvern Racing driver from Airdrie, Scotland. So moving forward.
Sounds right. I know also about Sam, by the way. We were talking to him in the interview, or really you were talking to him in the interview, and he mentioned this was a very emotional race for him. I have to say I'm really sorry, but I don't remember if it was his granddad or his grandmother.
I believe it's a grandmother.
Yeah, so she passed away when Sam's birthday came around, and he was also racing around displacing the AOR F1 League, I think he was saying. So Sam right now doing a really good job in what is a very emotional race for him right now, just getting by Axel there. So I'm hoping for him personally that he can secure the top 5, because we know what Sam is capable of. It just hasn't always gone his way this season, and in some races the previous season as well. So hopefully for him, he can pull in a good result tonight.
Absolutely. Already up 5 positions, and as you mentioned, it's tough to race when there's emotion around the racetrack or particular car at a track, or you have memories of going there perhaps in your youth and things like that. The different emotions can definitely affect you, and they have the same things that they have to go through as real life drivers that race Indy cars or Grand Prix F1 cars. You have to get into that zone no matter what. You've got to put as much of that out of your mind as possible. Race with your pride or whatever you want on your heart or on your sleeve, but at the end of the day, you've got to get into that zone and make that IR-18 go fast down the track. And that is exactly what Sam Blackwood is doing today. And it's never been a question about Sam. I mean, whether it's an oval or a road course, it just seems like Sam gets faster and faster. It really just is those unfortunate little mistakes or mishaps where he gets caught up in someone else's business. And so going forward, though, this is definitely one of those drivers that you want to put a circle around as someone who can finish on the podium any given weekend. So we'll see whether he can do that today. In the meantime, Axel having a great debut, just behind, losing that position from 5th, but in 6th place right now, up 7 spots today. And his debut is going fantastically as well. Not as much emotion to work through probably, but able to get in that very competitive zone, the same as these other drivers. Danny Brennan, just behind, actually, is putting in some fast laps. That's always great to see from Danny, who now is the first car, I believe, second car a lap down at the moment. But Danny's looking great in 12th spot of 3 positions. Unfortunately, blinking out a little bit back there. But aside from that, having a fantastic run and showing some really great speed.
Yeah, he's doing really well so far. But speaking about fastest laps, by the way, it wouldn't be a race without Will Lyon having the fastest lap of the race.
Oh, he's done it again, has he? Well, yes, indeed. A 156.51, according to our timing and scoring belonging to Will Lyon, the fastest lap. His next closest rival, although we're having a note coming in right now about Andreas Eick perhaps having a moment. We'll see whether it was a big one or a small one. Well, just a little off track there, no big deal. Back on track. But his nearest competitor for that fast lap time to Will Lyon would be Dan Dinsdale, just behind with a 56.75, but that is not even in the same ballpark. Actually, Mark Johnston had the fastest time prior to that with a 56.56. No, I take it back. No, we're totally wrong. Florian Fernandez right now has the fastest lap, 56.22.
Yeah, these guys are pushing. The track temperature has just gone down a degree as well, which won't make much of a difference, but it could help here and there in some corners more than others. But it is down to 22 degrees Celsius now from 23 from where we started the session. So the lap times will be getting slightly faster, which is great for the drivers. They're also going to be able to run on some slightly lower fuel loads as well towards the end, especially the likes of Hugo Olsen, for example, who have been running the Black Soil race and saving fuel. So who knows what pace they can pull. I think Hugo right now, though, has got the best seat in the house, because the 2 cars in front still are yet to pit, and Hugo, as far as we are concerned, is on that massive fuel save strategy.
Indeed. We will see how this all shakes out for these drivers, and let's look at their last lap times, because really that's the most meaningful. You see Lyon with a 57.02 and Dinsdale with a 57.31. Olsen not far off, a 57.3, and that is not what Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale want to see at all. And I do wonder if the choice to immediately for everybody to go onto these black tires, as you see your leader Will Lyon now into the pits, and Dan Dinsdale, and that will, in fact, give over the lead once again to Hugo Olsen. And I'm just wondering again if, you know, we saw last season Will Lyon make great use at the end of the season, right when the new tire model dropped. We saw him make great use of those black tires, and it's been more often than not, I've heard drivers really starting to come around to using these black tires. I am wondering if these SMS drivers were watching that first stint and saw the pace that Hugo had on the black tires, and they made their decision. All of these drivers coming back out onto the black tires, they are making their choices known. It is in fact Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale who come back out on black tires, and Dinsdale on the button. So Dinsdale's got a ways to get back up to his teammate Will Lyon, but you know he's going to be doing exactly what he needs to try to get this win today. I'm sure Dinsdale wants a win in this series. He's been so close now, but at the front, it is Hugo Olsen on a totally different fuel strategy, out leading this race at Spa-Francorchamps. We have just 12 laps to go. It's round 4 of the Prime Meridian Racing League here from Spa-Francorchamps. I'm so glad that everybody has joined us. Sorry if I've been ignoring our chat room at all. Don't mean to. Appreciate Julian Altena dropping by our chat room and chatting. Oh, wait, that's you. Thomas Christensen. He's your twin. Thomas Christensen letting us know he thinks it's going to be Jesper or Erka for Three Crowns Racing. Well, right now it's Jesper in second. He could have just gone onto that strategy, that same strategy as Olsen has been on. He could just be on the winning strategy right now. We'll have to see how this finally does break down. But things looking good right now with Orman running in second place. NSH Allcart stopping by, letting us know that they're rooting on David Soranzo. And Soranzo was having a fantastic race, unfortunately getting involved in that incident not long ago and now back in 10th. But we agree, Soranzo had a great qualifying effort, and it's definitely looking great here. Hugo was on blacks and still is on those same black tires. But now the question is, I don't have this information from me. Did Hugo... No, Hugo was on the black tires for his first stint, right?
I'm not sure myself, but I can quickly check that for you.
I believe he was on black, so he will have to go to red. So that's possibly why he's on this strategy, pushing as far as he possibly can. And same thing with Jesper, pushing as far as they possibly can, so that they can maybe just get like 8-9 laps on the red tires at the end. Wow, Hugo really loose coming through the corner there.
Yeah, so I just checked, and you were right. He started the race on the black, so he will have to go to the reds. But this brings me to the point which I was just explaining earlier. If Hugo has been saving fuel on this stint as well, he should be able to do that 9-lap stint, or 10 laps even, to just fuel up a little bit shorter, but still be able to push these red tires to the limit, as he will pull into the pits in a few laps time. So this race is not over yet. Currently tracking P5, P4 now for a pit out position for Hugo Olsen. At least that's my information. And like we saw last week or 2 weeks ago at Gateway, that wasn't always accurate. So we will just have to wait and see how that all plays out.
Wait and see. That's the way it always is. But we don't have to wait to see Hugo make his pit stop. Here he comes. And I imagine that will allow Jesper to continue around and complete yet another lap. He seemed to go more than his competitors the last time by. So Jesper again continuing, getting a little loose coming off the corner, and there's a reason why. Look who's just behind. It's champion Will Lyon. So we see Erica Lindstrom in the pits from 5th. And we watch to see where everyone will come out. It is Jesper Orman for Three Crowns Racing, who's now in front. He's going to have to make a final stop, as will Will Lyon. But Lyon, huge run for Will. And they're side by side, but Will easily, with the draft, able to get the position into the corner, and Will has to do it. This is really crucial right now. If his strategy is to work at all, he cannot get held up with anybody, even though Jesper was in first. With the brand new tires that Will would be on, he's got to get by as fast as possible and set sail. He's got to put in fast laps. If he gets held back at all, there is no way that he will be able to catch Hugo after he makes his pit stop. So for all of this to even come close to working out, Will needs a clear track, and he needs to not have any obstacles.
Yeah, I'm just trying to work all the maths out in my head, but as far as I know, Will still has to pit, Daniel Din still has to pit, and Hugo just pitted, of course, so the gap is 8 seconds. You are not going to make up about, 26 seconds, plus the 8 that Hugo's already behind in that final stint. So really, as far as I'm concerned, Will still has to pit, of course. So if that's the case, and unless he goes massive fuel save, like ridiculous numbers of fuel save, map 8, everything, I think the race is already lost, as far as I'm concerned, because Hugo's on the red compound now as well, sorry, as I'm struggling for my English again. But he should be able to push to the end now without saving too much fuel. We saw him go 13 laps earlier on in the race, so he should be able to drive relatively flat out towards the end, and Will has to either save a lot or he has to pit again. So I think the race, regardless of strategy, will be in Hugo Olsen's hands.
Indeed. It's a good question. Who is going to be able to do it today? And, well, we'll find out. I mean, we're that close. It's only 9 laps to go. And the problem is that it's so close that we can't tell whether Will Lyon will actually be able to make it on fuel to the end, because he came in on lap 22. It's a 34-lap race. Can he squeeze a full 12 laps out of this thing? He hasn't thus far. So, you know, he's out there trying to go fast, but he's also trying to fuel save. And we look at the last lap times up there. He's still doing 57.3. That's a fast lap time. I think that's the fastest on the whole track, besides Dinsdale just behind him. So something doesn't add up. Either will be able to make it to the end just barely on fumes, or he's going to be about a lap shy and have to come in for another lap or another pit stop. So we'll watch and see what these drivers are able to do with their fuel mileage. But either it's going to be Will Lyon winning this one by a narrow gap over Hugo Olsen, who, by the way, let's realistically look at this. It's Will Lyon out in the lead, but Dan Dinsdale, who's on exactly the same strategy as Will Lyon, is 2.6 seconds back. Then it's just 3 seconds back to Hugo Olsen, who we know is not any longer going to have to be on a fuel save strategy. And you can see, let's see what kind of a time he puts in this time by, but he is fastest third sector, purple sector thus far. And what kind of a time? A 156.12. That is your fastest lap of the race. So now Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale on the button. They have to respond up in front. You can see them just up the road from Hugo. This is getting to be a very close one at the end. Will Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale have the fuel and be able to hold out? Will Hugo Olsen's alternate fuel strategy reel him back in? Will Sam Blackwood, who's 18 seconds back, somehow magically inherit a podium position as part of this? All of this is yet to come. And we've got 8 laps to go here for round 4 of the PMRL Season 2. It could be a close one at the end. Hugo continues. This is now, we look again, Sector 3. What did he just... What's that?
That was close with Hugo there. He almost lost it out of no name. That's really risky.
He is so close to the edge. Hugo Olsen very comfortable with sliding these Firestone tires around on these Dallara IR-18 IndyCars. That new tire update dropping very recently and making it possible for drivers like Hugo to really ride out the slide out of exiting corners and through the middle of corners, and that fits his driving style just perfectly. We'll see whether he can reel in Dinsdale in front. It's a 2.7 second gap. Put the gap times back in the tower so you can follow along. In the meantime, there is another very close race. We're going to take a look at that one real quick. It's between Jesper Orman and then there is Axel Gumel just behind. And just behind that, Erica Lindstrom. So all three of these drivers just spaced out by only a second. And that is for 5th place. So these three drivers still battling for 5th, and all of them up multiple positions on the day. Jesper showed 9 positions gained, Axel 7, and Erica in he's in 7th, and he's gained 2 spots today. So great run again from Erica Lindstrom from Three Crowns Racing, who's really adding to that team championship. I see Orman having a couple of off tracks just in front, trying to stay in front. And would you believe it's David Soranzo who now takes the fastest lap time, a 56.03 that time by on the red tires. Soranzo able to get some excellent speed. And are we seeing, with possibly with this weather, are we seeing it cool down a little bit? It's now 22 degrees on the track. I believe it's cooled down by a degree, but a little overcast setting in over the track here as we have 7 laps to go, and it is still anyone's race at the front. So we watch this battle happening at the very front. Will Lyon with Dan Dinsdale, his teammate, 2.6 seconds back for SMS Racing, and then Hugo Olsen trying to chase him down, now down to 2.2 seconds. This is getting close, Julian. We might have a battle here for second any moment.
Yeah, and what I also think is going to happen a little bit here is I would assume Daniel Dinsdale is going to play, let's say, a little bit of a buffer for his teammate to just try and hold up Olsen as long as possible to try and keep him away from Will. But these guys, Daniel Dinsdale and Will Lyon for SMS Racing, have been using push to pass. So I would say that they are for sure yet to pit because, yeah, they're on the button again. I don't know how they could make this to the end of the race. It will be so impressive if they can, but I just don't see it happening myself at this stage. But right now, Hugo Olsen's tires are also going off a little bit there. The gap isn't coming down quite as much anymore. The last time by, the difference was only 0.3 to Will Lyon, faster that was than Will Lyon, and about 0.5 to Daniel Dinsdale. So Hugo is catching Daniel, but I don't think it's by enough of a margin to really make a huge difference tire life-wise and pace-wise. So I think if Hugo wants to win this, he just has to keep his nose clean, try to protect the tires as much as he can to at least try something towards the final few laps, or just wait for the guys in front to pit, if they do.
If they do, well, that is the question. Would you give up the lead on the presumption that you might run out of fuel? I sure hope your fuel calculating software is all synced up and in good condition if you're Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale, because I would want to know exactly where I stand as far as that goes. But we were just watching a moment ago some battling as Jesper Orman came out of the pits on fresh tires, was able to overtake Eric Lindstrom, and then Axel Gubel was able to, Erica was able to get by Axel there for 6th spot. But back at the front, as you were mentioning, it's pretty even, but last time by, it was Olsen with a 57.12, and the two drivers in front, 57.40, 57.62, he's clipping in about a half a second each lap. It just depends whether he's got enough time, because we're down to 6 laps to go, and if Lyon and Dinsdale don't pit, then Hugo's not only got to get up there and challenge Dinsdale and get around him if he's going to try to head off to get up to Will Lyon, but I mean, he's just running out of time at this point. If he's going to get second, he's got his hands full, but I think he's run out of time to get up there and possibly challenge Will Lyon for first.
Yeah, something just happened to my iRacing. Apparently it crashed, so I don't have any pictures myself. So yeah, I can't really say anything right now because I don't know what's happening.
Okay. Well, I will maybe try to share our screen so that you can see it.
Thank you.
There you go, boss. Okay. It's always fun doing live broadcasts, isn't it, Julian? It's so much easier to just be a driver in there. You only got to worry about what's in front and behind you.
Well, if the sim crashed when I was racing, I'm sure I would have been a lot more disappointed and upset than I would be now. But it's also a good thing it's my iRacing crashing and not yours.
Oh, my goodness. Yes, you're right. You are right. Well, there we go. Will Lyon, your leader by 5 seconds over Hugo Olsen, and by about 3 seconds over Daniel Dinsdale, his teammate. And Lyon is, he's getting it done. He's gotten it done all day today. He gets it done every race. He got it done last season. He's doing it again today. Spa-Francorchamps, it doesn't matter. Red Bull Ring, ovals. He feigns he has no idea what he's doing around ovals, and then comes on and finishes on the podium and challenges for the win all day. But Will Lyon, the leader of the pack, the front runner of the Pride, absolutely able to manage this race excellently thus far. But will this come down to a very last lap, change of position? That is something we're going to have to find out, whether he can hang on with his fuel. I'm just going to guess that he can. I mean, like, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm just going to think that he's got this all calculated out. It would just be really interesting to see him run out of fuel, like on the last corner or something. That would be fascinating.
That would be a major scene, yes.
And again, it comes down to how much how much do you trust your, how much do you trust that fuel calculator, those numbers that you might be hearing in your ear? How much do you trust that? Because if you don't trust it, you might just come in a little conservative and say, well, it might be off by a couple of tenths and I don't want that chance. But if you really know your fuel saving software, and everybody kind of swears by a different one, whether that be JRT or Race Labs or some of the older ones that exist, there's so many different ones that are out there now. But you got to know it inside and out, and even Crew Chief, if you're using that to refuel you automatically, you've got to make sure that you understand how that system works as well. So really have to put in the time to understand all of this as efficiently as you can, so that you can count on it when it comes down to crucial times like this. And that's, again, just part of the completeness of being a racer, not just in real life, because you have to go through a lot of that same stuff in real life, but also here on iRacing, where a lot of these drivers are really one-man bands. I don't suspect anybody is in Hugo Olsen's ear right now. I'm sure he'd love to have support and spotters working for him, part of Power Slide. But right now, I think it's just him out there running his own show, and he's getting it done as well. He's put himself onto an alternate strategy today. He's had something to answer this SMS Racing juggernaut. And I would say maybe the only problem was he had to start from a little bit further back, and that kept him from, he had to use up some tires and some fuel and use up a little bit of his pace in that opening stint, and that kept him from, maybe another 5 or 8 seconds, which is really the difference of the race right now. So it's that close at the front of this one. And that's what's so cool about the PMRL right now. It's extremely competitive. And it really gives any one of these really sophisticated and talented iRacers a chance at a win. As we see Connor Pearson now choosing to come in a couple of laps early, just not going to hit that fuel window. So unfortunately having to bring it in there from 9th, but still may end up with a top 10 position.
Can you check his last pit lap as well, by the way, for Connor Pearson? It might be the same lap as the leader.
Good question. I don't think in SDK it gives us the previous, like once they come into the pits, it doesn't let me see the previous lap. So unfortunately, I can't tell you that. It's all part of the wish list of things I wish they would give us, but we'll work on them. In the meantime, Will Lyon did come in with his teammate Dan Dinsdale on lap 22. Now, they are currently working on lap 32. That will be 10 laps. Again, with 1 lap to go, that will be the crucial moment of whether these drivers believe they can make another lap. Now, given the gap time back from Dinsdale to Hugo Olsen, if I were at SMS and I had Dan Dinsdale behind me, and if we both thought it was going to be that close, I would probably split the strategy just to be safe. That way, no matter what way it works out, I would be in the right. Have either Dan Dinsdale, since he's running in second, choose to come into the pits. That way he can salvage his race if he were to run out of fuel, and let Will Lyon try to finish this one out. Or if you're trying to protect that championship, that would be a chance where, you know, you don't want to get stranded on the track and have to get hauled in by the wrecker. So you know, that might be a chance for you to look at and say, no, Will is going to actually pit, take that little quick splash of fuel, drop down maybe 5 or 6 positions, because back to Sam Blackwood would be 27 seconds, and Jesper Orman in 5th would be 33.9 seconds. So looking at where he would pit out, you know, he'd still end up with a top 5 or 6, and that would be possibly a really good championship call, as opposed to just trying to leave him out there in front. But either way, if you're SMS, this tight battle with Hugo Olsen, you know, in the championship, you've really got to make that decision, because do you want to potentially give Hugo Olsen the win? Let's find out how it shakes down, because these drivers are coming around, and Will Lyon is going to be getting close to pit time if he needs to make that final pit stop. It will be 1 to go next time by. What will we see? Will it be Will Lyon sticking it out and able to just get this car around on fumes at the end? He's going for it. So the white flag is out, and both the SMS teammates deciding to stick in it. Hugo Olsen, of course, continuing on in 3rd place, last time by slower than the other two. The other two now burning push to pass, so that must tell you that they are very comfortable. Will Lyon now out of push to pass. Dan Dinsdale now down to 1 remaining, and I'm sure he'll use it before the end of this one, so they must feel, in fact, totally confident in their ability to get to the end.
Yeah, we saw Hugo save fuel early on in the race, and he was able to go 13 laps. We thought that was incredible, but apparently it wasn't quite as difficult as we thought it was.
May just have been an effort to get away from those red tires at the end of their stint, and now Will Lyon and Dinsdale on those black tires towards the end of this stint, now able to give Hugo a taste of his own medicine, who's on the red tires, and those tires may be starting to fall off. So Will Lyon continuing here on his final lap. Dinsdale in 2nd, Olsen in 3rd. How about Sam Blackwood having a great race up in 4th? Racing, we'll go back to that, racing with a heavy heart, but with extreme focus today, and looking great. And guess who just got fastest lap of the race? His teammate for Wyvern Racing, Connor Pearson, stealing that bonus point at the very end with that push to pass. That is some great stuff. Seeing some final speed that kind of question what could have been today for Wyvern Racing again, with Connor getting caught up in that incident a little while ago. But here we go towards the end of this lap. It's Will Lyon just trying to get through the last couple of corners. The checkered flag is out and in the air. 70,000 on hand here at Spa-Francorchamps in their seat, or out of their seats, and cheering on Will Lyon, who takes the victory decidedly from pole position, flag to flag win for Will, with Dan Dinsdale in 2nd and Hugo Olsen for Power Slide bringing it home 4th. And here again, our sentimental favorite Sam Blackwood in 4th, able to get through that final chicane up onto the start finish straight. And there he goes, a little wave and salute to the fans and the mechanics, letting them know how much he appreciates them. Sam Blackwood bringing it home in 4th. A great run today. Axel Gumel in a great debut in 5th, and Jesper Orman's got to be happy with a 6th place finish there. 8 spots gained today. That is a fantastic run for him. Erica Lindstrom just behind Andreas Eick in 7th and 8th, and Connor Pearson still finishing up this lap, but he'll have something to be very, very proud of at the end of this one, stealing that fast lap by a bunch a 55.37. That was that not faster than his qualifying lap? Believe
Might
it.
have been with push to pass.
Yeah, with push to pass and draft, perhaps so. But Connor Pearson bringing it home there in 9th, and David Soranzo is going to be your top 10. So we see Will Lyon with Jesper Orman there parked in the runoff, and we'll wait for these drivers to come in off the track and for this one to finish up, and we'll be able to get you the final results. In the meantime, did you like the race? I don't know if I can officially do this with our YouTube channel because I thought I could post multiple polls, but it seems like it only lets you do one poll at a time, which is kind of... Oh, wait a minute. No, it will let me create a poll. So let's go ahead and do this. Who do you think should be nominated for the driver of the day? Julian, give me your... Who should get driver of the day?
Sam Blackwood, easily.
Sam... Okay, well, let's put that in. Let's say Will Lyon maybe was a possible choice today. He ran a great race. How about Hugo Olsen there in coming in 3rd? He had a fantastic run. And and Gumel, I mean, he had a terrific run as well. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you... Yes?
I'm actually really proud of Andreas Eyck. It hasn't been the easiest start of the season for him. He's finished 9th at Road America, 8th at Worldwide Technology Raceway, 12th at the Red Bull Ring, and he is now 7th, which is one position up from his previous best finish of 8th, but still it's an improvement, so that's his best finish of the season as well. Finally a race that went somewhat his way. We did see a bit of an incident involving him, but overall it was a very clean race from his side. Doing a really good job in P7 too.
Well, we will get the, I agree, a number of great points there, and we will get the final results up there and start talking to some of the final finishers here. But for those of you that are watching right now, there is the ability to vote right there on your screen. Make sure to vote for who you think should get driver of the day, and we will let you know at the end of the broadcast who wins that vote. But make sure to vote there in our YouTube chat. If you're watching elsewhere, you'll need to join us on the YouTube channel. And of course, it is only open to subscribers, so make sure to vote there. And there you can see your final order on the screen. It was, of course, Will Lyon stealing the show and really, flag to flag winner. So many superlatives we throw Will Lyon's way, but he earns them every week. The #1 car and the top driver of the day in terms of the results for sure. Daniel Dinsdale there in 2nd. Great run for the SMS Racing teammate. We'll look forward to getting a chance to talk with these drivers, as well as Hugo Olsen and hopefully Sam Blackwood there, who came in 4th. Great runs for all these drivers, and you see the finishing order there on your screen. Gomez Esteban also finishing in 13th. So, a lap down and... actually having a pretty decent run today. So a number of drivers having a really good day. So we'll look in over in our booth here. And I totally missed your note in Discord for warm-up. Sorry about that, boss.
No problem.
Let's see who we've got. So let's start with... we've got Hugo Olsen in our booth. Hey, Hugo, can you hear me over there?
Yeah, hello, Trevor.
Hey, Hugo. That was absolutely fascinating to watch. Now, let's start with qualifying. You really actually didn't qualify as well as we're used to seeing you qualify, especially on road courses. Were you struggling maybe a little bit with the setup today in qualifying? Did you just not really get in a lap that you wanted, or were you pretty happy with what you had?
Yeah, like it seems to be like I'm not that good in qualifying anymore, and it's been the trend for the last couple of weeks that I don't qualify well and then move up through the field. So, yes, qualified a bit better than what I did at Red Bull Ring. So that's good. At least made it a bit easier to try to move up through the field. But yeah, I think I got an okay lap in for qualifying, so not too mad about that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, race is where they hand out the big trophies and not not the qualifying. And you certainly have had the pace to come through the field. It seems like you knew that you wanted to be on that alternate strategy from the very beginning. You ran almost the longest of anybody. I think Jesper getting in an extra lap at the end, but you ran the first two stints longer. You were on the black tires where the SMS teammates were on the red tires. Just seems like you wanted to be on that alternate strategy all day. Was that pretty much factoring in your mind, just be on something different than what they were running? Or did you just make this decision? No, I want to go with this particular strategy.
Yeah, so first I thought maybe I could do 13 laps like on the black tires, and I thought about like going on the red tires in the start and just pitting after a few laps, but yeah, I wasn't really sure if I could make 13 laps on the black tires and still do competitive lap times, so I opted for just doing the opposite, starting on the black tires, saving as much as possible, like fuel wise, but still going hard, and then yeah, because of that, doing as few laps as possible on the red tires, which it was close in the end. Maybe if I was a few seconds further up, I would have gotten in their slipstream, because some laps after I put on the fresh red tires, I was like a second a lap quicker, so could have worked, but lost. I think I lost a bit too much time in the first stint there.
That was what I mean. Ultimately, that's kind of what I thought was by having where you qualified, having to come through the field in that first stint. It may have cost you that 5, 6, 7 seconds, and in the end, you only ended up losing by like 6 seconds to Will Lyon. So I mean, that could have been the whole difference. Obviously, it's really hard with somebody like Will Lyon and Dan Dinsdale, who make practically no mistakes and give you no time out there on the track. You had to really fight. Now, we did see that in the third stint. You had the red tires. You were starting to climb and claw in on that gap up to Dan Dinsdale. Almost looked like you were going to be able to pass him there for a little bit. But it looked like maybe on that final stint, the red tires at the very end just kind of given out, not able to get quite the same pace as you had in the blacks on the first couple of stints.
Yeah, for sure. Like the last 4 or 5 laps, it was very hard to hang on to the car, and I was just trying to stay as close as possible and hoping for them to make a mistake, because I had nothing for them at that point with the tire fall off on the red tires. I was losing like maybe a second the lap to them at the end, so just trying to stay in there and hold my position, but yeah.
Well, you gave it a monster run today, and certainly showed the pace that you're very well known for, and that you're a threat to win anytime. I'm going to be anxious to talk with the SMS teammates, because there might have been a little bit of panic going on at some point, but we'll find that out. Nevertheless, great run today. You gained 4 spots on the day. You're still in this championship fight, still a long ways to go with this season. And again, congratulations, great podium position.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Anybody you want to thank, and would you like to say some words in Swedish?
Yeah, I want to thank Powerslide for the help they for how much they helped me with driving wise and all that, and also like the setup work they do regularly for every week, and some words in Swedish too. Så inga ursäkter nu Jesper, utan nu får du ta och skärpa till dig och hjälpa mig här framme. That was it.
And what did you say? If you can tell us without any English profanity.
It's a bit of a secret.
Okay. That's fine. You can leave it in Swedish. That's fine. Your fans will know what you're saying. Yes, thank you so much for joining us here, Hugo. We'll look forward to chatting with you and seeing you again next week. I'm sure you'll have something special up your sleeve for those SMS racing drivers. Again, congrats with third, and good luck with the rest of the championship.
Thanks.
So the Hugo Olsen jumping in off the track, and now we'll get a chance, now that we've talked with him from third, we'll get a chance to talk with Dan Dinsdale. And so unfortunately, Julian Altena has some other commitments, so he's saying that he needs to jump away to those things. So thanks for joining us, Julian. And we'll look forward to, of course, hearing from Julian next week. But let's see if we can get Dan Dinsdale in here. Hey, Dan, are you here?
I am, yeah. Hi.
There's the man. Hey, Dan. Well, it was a much better week this week than it was a couple of weeks ago. And even better than last week. You managed to get second place this week. You started second. You got second. That's got to feel pretty darn good here so close to your debut in the league. Congratulations.
It is, yeah. It was really, finally, really nice to have a good qualifying on a road track. I think last 2 road races I've been in the midfield, and it's just been, I felt like I had better pace than where I qualified, so I was just desperate to get a qualifying lap in this time, and thankfully I did. And I set the time and thought there's no way anyone could beat that. I was like, that is literally the lap of my life, and then Will just annihilated it. So what can you do?
Yeah, that's what racing with someone as skilled as Will Lyon will do for you. At times you think you got them beat, and then they'll just humble you like that. But that's the fun of it. You've already gotten a pole position this season, so I'm sure that's not the last time we'll see you sitting atop the order. But hey, second place now. Let me ask you this. You and Will were, and I presume Matt, were all on the same strategy to begin. And now you were all on the red tires. And then undoubtedly you had to have seen something that made you decide that the black tires were the way to go for the rest of this. Were you looking at Hugo Olsen's pace? Did that come across either of your minds when you're talking? Or was it just that you had planned to do this strategy from the beginning? Go red and then black.
I'll be honest, it was like a last second call. We were sat there and not really sure what to do. I think our thought was basically try and go with the crowd, because we're in the top 3 positions. We can try and work together. Not that Matt worked with me at all, but we could try and work together on the first couple laps and pull a gap if we're on the same tyres as the rest of the field. And I think same for everyone. It would be the same for Hugo. Knowing you have to go onto those red tires at some point is a bit scary. It's not particularly fun to drive, and the last few laps can be quite sketchy, and it's quite easy to lose control. So I think, at least from my perspective, I was desperate to get them out of the way. And also, we talked earlier before the race, we were thinking if there was a safety car in the first stint, it could be a really good idea to have the reds already used up, and you can maybe even just pit early and switch onto the blacks. And so it was really tough, though. I think we were very last second panicking. We all wanted to do the same thing, and then I think what we did was in the end was the correct decision.
Obviously was, because you ended up first and second, but it was so close with Hugo there at the end. It looked like in that final stint he was kind of clawing into that gap, and then because he was on the red tires, they started to fall away at the end of his stint a little bit, and you were able to extend there on the blacks. But again, another great day from you. You looked basically flawless out there. We're starting to associate the SMS drivers with very excellent races, clean racecraft, and practically flawless. But as you mentioned in your previous races, it hurt you to have to qualify a little bit further back and have to work your way through the field, or to fall back into the field and then have to work your way back forward. And I think that really, talking with Hugo, that probably was the biggest cost to him. So was there a point where you two were talking it over and saying, well, this is going to be close with Hugo, he may be able to get up here and pass us with his strategy? Or were you just focused on your own strat today?
So I think Will was probably, he had a few more seconds on me. So he from my perspective, when we were talking, he seemed pretty comfortable. But I'll be honest, I thought I felt comfortable. And then when the final stint started and I saw Hugo was about 5 seconds back, I got quite worried. And then he just had an amazing race pace, particularly on the reds. I haven't seen any of the times, but I think Hugo, from what I've seen, probably was the quickest driver on reds, and he held on to them for so much longer than we were expecting. I kept thinking, this is the lap where he'll drop off and everything will be fine, and then you'd gain another couple of tenths, and I was burning through our push to passes to make sure that he couldn't get into my slipstream, because that was my worry. And I was panicking. I think Will was fine, but I was starting to panic, and then thankfully think me and Will both said it at the same time, or we're going to say it at the same time. We noticed like coming out into the final sector that the gap had for the first time increased by a couple of tenths, and I think at that point I knew, having driven the red tires already, that was probably the game over. Like once you start losing time on the black tire to the black tire runners, to the primes, you kind of there's no way back. But he did an incredible job on that final stint, and I was very, very worried for a few laps.
Well, it is fun, though, that with this new tire model, that we're now watching that crossover so intently, and it's very much like Formula One, or very much like real-life IndyCar, where you're able to now utilize both tires to strategy and to fit your own driving style. So whether you like to slide rear end around a little bit or take care of your tires, you can incorporate the black or the red tires now into your strategy. That's kind of a fun new wrinkle that's popped open, but nevertheless, you had a fantastic day today, Daniel. You're climbing the championship order. SMS team is at the top of the charts. I mean, 4 races into this, you got to feel pretty good as an SMS racing driver right now.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's going, really, really well. I mean, we don't have to do very much with Will. I mean, we let Will just drive off, and then me and Matt try and do what we can. But it's I mean, it's been really good. Like, I've driven with Will and Matt for a few years now. I think they've driven together for way longer than that. And it's been quite interesting seeing the development. I think when we first met, Will was probably the worst driver I've ever seen on tires. Like, he would burn up a set of tires in about 2 laps. But it's kind of crazy seeing how far everyone's come in a couple of years, and seeing, like, today is the first time I've probably driven against Will and been near him on the track, probably potentially, well, at least for a year or two. And it was like watching like I said to Will before, it was like watching a metronome or something. Like, he just hits every apex, and it's, I can match him for a lap, I can maybe gain a tenth on a lap, but he's so consistent. But I think it's really good having a team of people like this, and we're all learning from each other and having a fun time.
Well, that's what it's all about ultimately, is having a great time and getting to race with your friends, and getting to go faster than you maybe ever thought you could by challenging yourself. And it's great to have somebody like Will Lyon who is able to still be faster than you, and you can kind of try to challenge yourself with. But there you can see also the schedule on the screen. Next race is going to be a pretty special one. You looking forward to it at Indianapolis?
Yeah, I love the ovals. I think my ovals, I feel like I'm stronger at ovals, so we'll see. I think Indy, I've raced against Will at Indy, he's really, really good there, but I'm hoping that, I'm looking forward to the ovals a bit more towards the back end of the season. I think Indy will be great. I think, there'll be a SMS special livery, so we're very excited to reveal our Indy livery next week.
Well, there you go. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off at the end there.
Oh no, I don't. I was probably just waffling on about something. But yeah, it was. I'm looking forward to next week. I think Indianapolis is definitely, the Indy 500 is one of my favorite iRacing events. So this will be really fun, and it'll just be a matter of, I guess it's how many laps until me and Matt hit the turn 1 barrier, because I think we've both ended up there many times in the past.
It is a challenging circuit, and obviously you are in some serious company between Jesper Orman, Andreas Eich, Hugo Olsen. I mean, there's some real oval talent in this field, and I mean, that's just the beginning. A lot of these drivers have a lot of experience, so we'll look forward to seeing you and the other SMS drivers making that challenge next week. Congratulations again on second place, and good luck next week and for the rest of the championship, Daniel.
Thanks very much, Trevor. Cheers.
Absolutely. Cheers to you. Anybody, I didn't give you the exact chance. Did you want to say thanks to anyone else?
If I don't say thanks to Ian Bell, I think Matt's gonna kill me. So I, of course, want to thank Ian Bell for. Actually, we were talking this week that I think my first simulator game was GTR. So I really do need to, of course, thank Ian Bell, even though I'm more of an honorary member of SMS than the other guys. But yeah, I'd like to thank them, and of course, thank Will and Matt again for racing. And enjoyed my evening trying to ignore them while concentrating on the track.
Well, that's the way it goes. You ignore everyone else out there and focus in on your own race, and as a result, if you can get into that zone, sometimes you wake up and you're in second place at the end, and Daniel Dinsdale did it today. So now we'll get a chance to talk to his teammate. Thanks again for who's been sitting there cooling down on the sidelines, and taking a little load off, kicking up your heels a little bit. Mr. Lyon, can you hear me there?
Hi, Trevor. How you doing?
I'm doing brilliantly, my friend, but I did not just absolutely dominate a race here at Spa-Francorchamps in a Dallara IR-18 IndyCar like you just did. Congratulations, flag to flag. And there was a little bit of a challenge, but ultimately you were on top of it with your strategy. Another brilliant race from you. Congrats.
Yeah, cheers, Trevor. It was another race where it was a lot harder than probably what it looked. Dan was just relentless all evening. I didn't get one lap where I could just, relax a little bit and chill out. I was having to push right to the end. I had to use all my push to pass to maintain the gap to him. So it was not easy at all. And as he said, at the start of the race, we didn't even know what tyre to start on. So it was all a bit last minute, but we got there in the end. And I think, given where we started on the grid, I think our strategy was the best to try and stretch our legs at the front a little bit. Get the red tyres out the way, and then we could settle in on the primary. So worked out really well. We were keeping an eye on Hugo at the end, who probably had the best race pace out of everyone on track there at the end. But ultimately we qualified well, and we got the job done.
You did get the job done. Again, was talking with Daniel and sort of your general strategy there at SMS. Obviously, your goal was to start on the red tires. Was it your personal decision that you wanted to continue and stay on the black tires after that? Did you consider maybe switching to the reds, or did you just feel like the reds were just going to fall off too much and you needed to go with the blacks?
Yeah, it was very much a case of just trying to be on the primaries for as long as possible. I remember doing the official series here back when the new tire model came out, or one of the new tire models, and I just remember spinning time and time again out of the bus stop and out of turn one, because they just melted. They're obviously a lot better now than what they were when the tire model first came out, but yeah, still the primaries seemed to work even in these low track temperatures. The primaries were still much better for me anyway. I was a lot more comfortable on them. I would say the crossover point was probably lap 6, where the reds started really dropping off and the primaries became better, and given the stints were 12 laps long, it just made sense. You're just losing so much time at the end on the reds. So yeah, I was planning on starting on primaries, but when we saw everyone behind was on the reds at the start of the race, we thought, let's just match them. We've probably got the pace because we've qualified ahead of them, so let's just try and stay ahead rather than do anything silly and go on the slower tyre for the first few laps. So that was the strategy, if you can call it that.
Well, adaptive, you always have to watch a little bit at least of what your competition is doing. You don't want to be caught off guard, but nevertheless, that final stint you managed to maximize. How close was it on fuel at the very end? We were very curious whether you could actually make it 12 laps at the end on fuel, because I don't think you had quite done that yet.
Yeah, the fuel was okay. The limit was 12 laps, and with fuel saving, with quite a lot of fuel saving, you could probably do 13, which I think Andreas did in the first stint. I might be wrong, but
we saw Jesper do that and stayed out there.
Yeah, sorry, it was Jesper. Yeah. So yeah, we noticed he did 13 at the start, and it was possible, but Spa isn't the longest pit lane in the world, so I didn't see the point in trying to save fuel. But yeah, it was just a case of, as I say, just trying to get rid of the reds as quick as possible, and then move on to the more comfortable primary tyre. And yeah, it was. I was asking the stewards for a bit of clarification about how many laps we actually have to run on the alternates, because I just wanted to get them in the bin as soon as possible. So yeah,
you said something like 3 laps, 3 or 4 laps. You were saying those tires were going to be going off, and you must have been pretty scared coming into this one, thinking of having to do a whole stint on those red tires.
Yeah, well, the last thing I wanted to do was 12 laps, because yeah, those last 2 laps, you're going to be like a second and a half a lap slower, probably something like that, maybe even 2 seconds a lap slower than somebody who's on the primaries. So that was what my numbers were showing. I mean, maybe other people look after them better than me, but yeah, that was what my data was showing.
Well, ultimately, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, in the end, whatever strategy gets you to first, and certainly with your teammate coming in second, was obviously the right call for today. Couldn't have done better than that, first and second place. So congrats on more brilliant fuel strategy, more brilliant tire management, and some like Hugo really tried to go off strat to you. He tried a total opposite strategy, tried to go on the full fuel save and go longer than you both, but wasn't quite enough. And again, his problem also being that he didn't quite get in as good of a qualifying effort as you. And a lot of times we say you don't get a championship trophy for getting qualifying, but at the same time, if you start first place, that sure gives you a lot of clear track and ability to go chase down that race win and not make mistakes or not tear up your tires coming through the field. So all of your strategy, whether it's qualifying at the front, putting in the practice laps to get there, or during the race, well, it's like every single week you and SMS are just operating at the top of your game.
Yeah, I think Dan was being a bit unfair to himself as well about qualifying, because I managed to, I think I went a tenth quicker or something at some point, but he said he got a final run in, and I believe he was quite a few tenths up on his final attempt, but I don't know if he made a mistake or had an off track or something, but I believe he was on for a pole. And I've been saying for weeks now that watch out for Dan. He is the quickest driver out of the whole of SMS team. So I don't know what the next road course is, but he's a big fan of Barber, and I would expect him to go well there. And as he said, he really enjoys the Indy Oval as well. All three of us have ended up in the wall at turn 1, so hopefully we won't do that. But Dan is very much a contender, and as is Matt as well, who unfortunately had a bit of a nightmare today. It seems like he came out the pits on cold tires, and he's downshifted halfway up Radion, and it's just chucked the rear end round him.
Oh no!
And that was the end of his day. So yeah, that was a bit gutting, because we might have been able to get a 1-2-3 or a 1-2-4. So yeah, exactly,
and that's what I'm saying. One little mistake like that, maybe a misshift, or you get a corner entry wrong, anything. We saw it happen with Pearson, I believe it was last week in the pits, having a problem, and he could have spun anywhere, but he spun in that little space in the pits, wasn't able to get it out of there. So again, your execution and Dan's execution today, brilliant again. I know Matthew's probably saying right now, darn it, but he'll bring it together, I'm sure, for next week. And again, Indy is big race for a lot of these drivers. Of course, Andreas and Jesper and a lot of these drivers, Hugo doing tons and tons of races at Indy, as well as you drivers doing it. So you'll have some stiff competition there. But do we need to remind that there is also an oval only championship for the ovals in this series? There's a championship within a championship, and Hugo Olsen actually leads that at the moment, not Will Lyon. So that'll be an interesting challenge. Can Will Lyon overcome that in that championship within a championship next week? And then secondly, the very last pole sitter at an oval. Who was that? That, in fact, was Dan Dinsdale. So can maybe Dan Dinsdale come through and get that pole position next week? We'll have to tune in and see. Either way, great things going on with SMS, and I'm sure there's some people that you'd like to thank.
Yeah, obviously we want to thank Ian again, obviously inspiring us to do this. And I think next week you're going to see a lovely tribute livery to Project Cars 2, which is the sim that started it all off for me and Matt. So Dan's done some great painting, which you're going to see next week. We used to run those sort of colours when we did LMP1 back in the day. So excited to see that on an IndyCar next week. Looking forward to that one. But yeah, thanks to Ian and again Dan and Matt. It was good fun this week, practicing again and slagging off the alternate tyres the whole week. So we look forward to more of that at Indy, and hopefully we go well. I mean, I know we've got a lot of oval specialists in this league, but hopefully Dan can be up there challenging them, and me and Matt will try and find a way to follow him through, and we'll see what happens. It's always great fun at Indy. Love that track.
Well, you did it today. You did it last season. You've been doing it all season this season. But Will, at the top of your game, championship leader, team leading the championship, and defending champion. Will, you're doing it, and we look forward to next week when maybe somebody else might have a chance. But either way, some more mastery. If it's in the cards, we'll look forward to that as well.
Brilliant. Thanks, Trevor. Catch you later.
We'll see you later. Thank you so much, Will, joining us. And now we actually have another driver joining us, which I'm very happy about, as long as he didn't... Yes, he's here. So your sentimental favorite from today and the winner of the vote over in our YouTube chat room, Sam Blackwood, joining us here on broadcast out of the cockpit. And Sam, can you hear me over there?
Yep, I can.
Hey, bud, that was an awesome race today. You had some... You qualified with your teammate at Wyvern a little bit further back than we're used to seeing you. It was kind of a surprise to us. But some other drivers like Hugo also qualifying a little bit further back. That was a surprise. But I know today was really emotional, given the situation before with your grandmother and her passing. Was that weighing on you today, and was she racing with you, and is that possibly responsible for your 4th place finish?
There were parts of the race where I did go completely silent as I was sitting in the chat with Brennan and Pearson. At that point there, just sort of on autopilot mode, and then I just clicked myself back into it and I was back on it again. Yeah, it does still feel weird coming along here and racing at Spa. I still get brought back to that day, but it's starting to disappear off into the horizon. There's, as I say, dreading on it won't bring her back. If I know that might sound bad, but sometimes you do have to eventually move on. So hopefully this could be probably the start of something a little bit better as we head on throughout the season. But yeah, I suppose she was there with me.
Well, she would have watched you with a masterful drive today, and undoubtedly one of those types of finishes and charges through the field, 6 positions gained from where you qualified. I mean, this would be one that any parent, grandparent, friend, family member watching would be so proud of seeing you accomplish these great things. But also for Team Wyvern, it was kind of a difficult day. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that. You two did not really get in the qualifying results as well as Danny, but not quite getting in the qualifying results in the top 10 that we're used to seeing from you. And then in the race, unfortunately, Connor having a big moment, tangling with several other drivers, that dropping him back. What happened for the Wyvern team today? If you can give us a little rundown on what your strategies were like and how it was affected.
Well, going into the race, we were sort of differing on 2 strategies. One was a 2-stop, the other one was a 3-stop, because some of us here had a Mandela effect where we thought the race was 35 laps. And I know we weren't the only people to think it was 35 laps as well. Realizing it at the very last moment today, sort of clicked our minds on, okay, we're going to have to go with this strategy here because the other one's not. No, the other strategy was, I think, hold on a second.
Oh,
sorry about that.
That's okay.
The first strategy was blacks, start on the blacks and do 11 laps, and then do it again and do it again, come in on lap 33 and just do your two laps on the reds and just get them over with. Then we realised that you would probably lose about 20 seconds, 25 seconds in the pits just changing tyres and getting that little bit of extra fuel in to go that last 3 laps. So we switched over to a 12, 12, 10 or 10, 10, 12 and just starting on the reds or finishing on the reds. And we eventually went with starting on the reds just to get them out of the way because the blacks were the faster tyre in the race. Come qualifying, we knew that slipstream was going to be a big factor. We knew it was probably going to be worth about 4/10 from La Source to Le Combe and Stavelot to the bus stop. But for some weird reason, we couldn't make it work. At best, our tow could only give us 2, maybe 3/10 of a gap, and it just wasn't enough. But you seen how close it was with the qualifying. I was 1,000s behind, I think it was Lindstrom, and 1,000s in front of Anna, and we were only about 2 or 3/10 away from 7th, I think. So we were just missing the extra few tenths come qualifying. But the race, I'd let Connor go at the start because he seemed to have faster race pace than me, and it worked out because he got up into 4th, I think, before he had his accident with Johnson into the bus stop, which seemed to take out quite a lot of cars. I'm not sure why it was. A caution wasn't called, but we'll gloss over that fact. And after that was, I think I was 5th or 6th, I watched Levine spin at Radion and crash. Thought that was going to be a caution, but no. And after that, I was sort of focusing my sights on Olsen, thinking he's going to do on reds again, and I know they die after 5 or 6 laps. Maybe I might have a chance at getting a 3rd place here. Turns out that wasn't the case, because Olsen is a completely different beast to what I thought he was, and I'll now give him a lot more respect going into the races because of his pace. But a 4th place is nothing really to gloss over. Connor still managed to finish in the top 10 and get the fastest lap. And Brennan managed to keep the car on the track and finish in 12th, I think it was.
Absolutely.
So we still got decent points. We probably could have all finished in the top 10, but it's nothing really to cry over, and we just move on to Indy for next week. Also, Trevor, just to clarify, the person spinning in the pit lane at Red Bull Ring was me. Not
Was
Connor.
you? I remember it was an orange and blue car. I tried to block it out of my memory because I know I want you guys to be up there in the top 5, and it's difficult seeing when something like that happens. Because I mean, just to talk to that, I mean, you could have spun out anywhere, but unfortunately, that particular spot, that it's just so difficult. You have to reset, and it takes you way out of the race for that particular race. But you responded very well today. Again, it looked like you were on it from the very beginning. It was exciting to watch your strategy work out, and you seemed to pick them off one at a time. In either way, regardless, if you were in an official race, you wouldn't have pace cars or caution laps on the yellows. Either way, you stuck your head down, you stayed in it, and you were able to maybe inherit a couple of positions due to others' misfortune. Either way, you kept the car on the track, you kept it going forward. There were no spins in the pits this day, and in 4th place, it's Wyvern Racing. And as you mentioned, 3 drivers there, basically, you know, with Danny just in 12th. I mean, you still responded. You and Connor and Danny had a great day. So, I mean, looking forward, we've got a bunch of the championship left. I think Wyvern has got to be feeling pretty good going forward with your pace and how you're hanging on at the end of these races. Any one of these races could be your day to be at the top of the order.
I'm just looking through at the calendar there. We have Indy next week. We all go very well at Indy. I think Connor's actually won an Indy 500 before, but it was 2 years ago, I believe. But it's still an Indy 500 nonetheless. You still have to be there to win it.
Absolutely.
Danny's had quite a few top 5s in other leagues that we've done, like TI, which is now AOWRS, and I think he's also got a top 5 in Bark, I want to say. I would take that with a pinch of salt. Myself, I seem to qualify quite well at Indy and seem to somehow always finish inside the top 10, whether I'm a lap down or not. So we're looking quite good, and we will have a special livery for Indy as well, along with the SMS guys. Although ours will look a bit cooler because we will have anime characters on, unlike Ian Bell.
Well, Ian is kind of his own sort of anime character of sorts. We'll just leave it there. But yes, we'll be looking forward to your brilliant new paint schemes. That will be a lot of fun. I hope there's like some extra, chrome effects or glitter or something going on to really make it pop up. But we'll look forward to those anime characters as well.
Yeah, it should be. It'll probably down to me because I appear to be the only artist in the team. So that'll be a busy day tomorrow and Friday, and then Tuesday as well, because on the weekend I'm actually meeting up with Connor for his birthday on the 31st. So,
congratulations to both of you having birthdays in very quick succession, and hopefully our graphics reflect your correct ages out there. I double checked it today. But anyway, great run today. Unfortunately, not quite up onto the podium, but it's right around the corner, Sam. Your Wyvern teammates could be next week at Indy. We'll look forward to the new paint on those cars. And in the meantime, you've done a heck of a job and really great racing. And good luck for the rest of your season, bud. Anybody you want to thank?
Connor and Brennan for coming up with the strategy. Ash with some sentimental cheers from the sidelines as he tries to sort college life out. And that's about it, because there's not really that many of us in the team. Obviously, we can't thank Ian Bell because he has no part of our team. But We can have a little wave from the fence post down the street towards him.
You betcha. Well, maybe someday it may be him in your rear view. We'll have to find out. In the meantime, somewhere out there, your grandma's looking on and cheering you on, and I'm sure she was proud of you today as well. So, hey, great job, Sam. We'll see you next week, and look forward to that new livery, bud.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, my pleasure. Sam Blackwood jumping in to the booth at VirtualRacing.Network after a great fourth place finish, gaining 6 positions today, and earning that fan vote over in the YouTube chat room. Thanks for everybody who played along with that and showed up and voted. Really awesome. So as I did mention, of course, next week is going to be Indy. It's going to be a very special broadcast. And now's the part where I get to tell you all about VirtualRacing.Network and how we work. Basically, we do not charge anybody any longer, any leagues at all, for doing our coverage. We don't charge any of the competitors in any way, shape, or form. So we entirely exist off of sponsorship, of which we have 0 right now, but we're looking, hopefully, to get some business partnerships. If you're out there and you have a business that you'd like to see get featured during our VirtualRacing.Network broadcast, love to talk with you. Make sure to let us know. And then if you'd like to support us financially and see us get to our goal of 747 for this month, we'd certainly appreciate that. Head on over to our PayPal. That is in the description down below, and we'll make sure that we thank you during the broadcast. We, of course, thank everybody for subscribing and sharing these races, and make sure you like the video so you get notified of all of our videos for the future. Thanks to everybody who's made VirtualRacing.Network a great success, especially the admins and the racers here, Prime Meridian Racing League, Jessica Sabin, Joshua, Vilda Wallen, and of course Vilda running Vopsy.com, and Majors Garage supplying some great support here as well to the PMRL. Well, that's going to do it for this week. As always, Trevor Greenfield and Julian Altena was with us this week, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week from Indy with some special paint jobs and some more great racing for the Prime Meridian Racing League. Until then, my name is Trevor Greenfield, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Make sure you stay tuned tomorrow for the iRacing NTT IndyCar Fixed Series race. As always, Championship Thursday right here on VirtualRacing.Network. Subscribe, you'll get notified of that. And then, as always, on Sundays, you can also see the US IndyCar League. So we got IndyCars happening 3 times a week. We're also going to be having a podcast episode coming out, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Until then, have a great rest of your week. See you next week from Indy, everyone. Bye-bye.